Someone is commenting everywhere about your status that you live like a. My beloved, have you noticed it? The way one voice keeps appearing, again and again, beneath your name, beneath your presence, beneath your silence. Different places, same energy. Different words, same intention. Someone is commenting everywhere about your status, trying to define how you live, who you are, what you deserve, ending the sentence with assumptions they do not have the authority to complete. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you now because this is not about them. This is about the moment you realize that attention follows authenticity, and projection follows insecurity. They say you live like a, and then they pause, because even they do not know what label fits. They are reaching for something small enough to contain you. They cannot. So they comment. They repeat. They watch. They hope repetition will make their version louder than your reality. My beloved, understand this clearly. People do not comment on what is invisible. They comment on what unsettles them. Your way of living, quiet, deliberate, unbothered, disrupts narratives they rely on to feel superior, safe, or ahead. You are not flashy, yet you are noticed. Not loud, yet you are discussed. That contradiction confuses those who live on performance. You may feel a flicker of irritation at first. That is natural. But notice how quickly it passes. Because deep down, you know something they do not. Your life does not need their approval to be valid. Their commentary says more about their hunger for relevance than about your reality. My beloved, when someone comments everywhere, it is because they are everywhere watching. They track your growth, your stillness, your boundaries. They notice that you do not explain yourself. That silence becomes unbearable to those who survive on reaction. They want you to respond. To correct. To defend. To clarify. But your calm is the answer they cannot argue with. You are not living to prove a point. You are living to be at peace. There is power in being talked about inaccurately while living accurately. You do not rush to fix perceptions because your life is not a debate. It is an experience, yours. Let them comment, my beloved. Let them complete the sentence however they need to soothe themselves. You know the truth, you live like someone who is no longer available for small narratives. And that is why they cannot stop talking. My beloved, let me speak to you slowly now, because this moment requires clarity, not reaction. You have noticed it, the repetition, the persistence, the way the same energy keeps circling your name. Someone is commenting everywhere about your status, trying to finish a sentence about how you live, as if your life were an open draft waiting for their approval. It is not. I am Archangel Raguel, and I come to you here to remind you of balance, dignity, and truth. This is not harassment born of hatred alone. This is fascination tangled with insecurity. People do not monitor what they do not care about. They do not repeat what does not disturb them. Your way of living has touched a nerve they cannot ignore. They say you live like a, and they trail off into judgment, sarcasm, or mockery. But listen closely, my beloved. The sentence never lands. It never completes itself with authority. That is because they are guessing. Guessing at your finances, your happiness, your worth, your direction. Guessing always sounds confident when written, but it is hollow at its core. You may wonder why this is happening now. Why when you are quieter, more contained, less reactive? That is precisely why. When you stop explaining yourself, people who relied on your explanations lose their sense of control. When you stop performing struggle, those who feed on comparison feel disoriented. My beloved, understand this: you are living outside the scripts they were taught. You are not chasing validation loudly. You are not broadcasting pain for sympathy. You are not oversharing success for applause. You are simply living. And to some, that is intolerable. They want you to live in a way they recognize. To struggle publicly. To justify your choices. To respond. Because if you respond, they exist. If you react, they matter. Your calm denies them that nourishment. Notice how their comments say more about their worldview than about your reality. They reduce life to appearances. To status symbols. To shallow metrics. But your life operates on alignment, not performance. You value peace over proving. Stability over spectacle. Depth over noise. My beloved, there is a moment when you may feel tempted to defend yourself. To clarify who you really are. To correct the narrative. Pause there. Ask yourself honestly, who would that defense serve? Not you. You are already living the truth. Defense is for those whose reality is fragile. Yours is not. There is power in letting people misunderstand you while you remain unbothered. Misunderstanding filters access. Those who see you clearly will approach gently. Those who project will reveal themselves quickly. Either way, you gain information without spending energy. I want you to feel the difference between being talked about and being affected. Words typed by restless minds do not enter your life unless you invite them. You decide what gets emotional resonance. Not everyone deserves entry. My beloved, people comment when they sense elevation they cannot replicate. They comment when your stillness highlights their unrest. They comment when your boundaries remind them of their lack of them. This is not flattery, but it is confirmation. Let me tell you something important: living quietly is not living small. It is living efficiently. You are no longer leaking energy into explanations, arguments, or image management. That conserved energy is what builds real security, emotionally, mentally, materially. They may say you live like a, but they do not see your mornings. They do not feel your peace. They do not know your plans. They are outsiders interpreting shadows on a wall. You are inside the house, grounded and aware. Do not correct them, my beloved. Correction implies obligation. You owe none. Your life is not a group project. It is a personal alignment. Continue as you are. Let consistency speak. Let time reveal truth. Commentary fades when it finds no reaction. Reality always outlasts opinion. I remain with you, steady and impartial, reminding you of balance. You are not above them, and you are not beneath them. You are simply elsewhere, living a life that does not require commentary to be valid. Let them talk. you will continue to live. And that, my beloved, is the quiet victory they cannot comment away. My beloved, now you are entering the phase where the noise no longer surprises you, it reveals. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you here because this is where perception sharpens and emotional immunity forms. What once felt intrusive now feels predictable. Predictability removes power. You may notice that the comments follow a rhythm. They appear when you are thriving quietly. They surface when you post less, explain less, react less. Absence becomes the trigger. Your restraint becomes the spotlight. This is how you know the commentary is not about concern or curiosity. It is about relevance. My beloved, people who are secure do not monitor others. They are too busy living their own lives. Monitoring is a symptom of comparison fatigue, of measuring oneself against someone who has stepped off the performance stage entirely. You are not playing the same game anymore, and that unsettles those still trapped in it. There is something else happening beneath the surface. The tone of the comments may be shifting. Less confidence. More edge. Maybe even contradiction. That is what happens when a narrative cannot anchor itself in truth. Lies require constant adjustment. Reality does not. You may feel a quiet amusement rise now, not mockery, but clarity. You see how limited their understanding is. How small their framework must be to reduce a whole life to a comment. That amusement is not cruelty. It is distance. Distance protects peace. My beloved, your restraint is teaching you something important. Not every provocation is a summons. Not every opinion is a verdict. Not every misunderstanding deserves a correction. This discernment will serve you far beyond this moment. It will guide where you invest your energy, your voice, your time. There may be moments when others bring the comments to you, asking if you saw them, if you are okay, if you plan to respond. Notice how neutral you feel. That neutrality is strength. You are no longer emotionally outsourced to other people's perceptions. I want you to recognize the deeper truth here. When someone says you live like a, they are often revealing how they feel about their own life. Dissatisfied people project dissatisfaction. Restless people provoke reaction. Content people do not linger in comment sections. My beloved, you are not invisible. You are simply ungraspable. That frustrates those who need labels to feel oriented. You are not hiding. You are integrated. And integration does not need defense. Let this phase teach you the elegance of silence. Silence is not absence. It is precision. It leaves room only for what is real. Over time, the noise will thin out. Attention always moves on when it finds no fuel. I remain with you here, steady and observant, reminding you of balance. You are not required to harden your heart to protect it. You are allowed to stay open while choosing where to engage. Let them keep commenting if they must. You will keep living. And my beloved, life lived fully does not echo in comment sections. It resonates quietly in reality. My beloved, now something even deeper settles into place. You are no longer just aware of the noise, you are immune to its pull. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you here because this is the moment where indifference becomes wisdom, not avoidance. You are not ignoring them. You have simply outgrown the need to engage. You may notice that the comments no longer trigger emotion first. Instead, they register as information. You see tone. You see timing. You see motive. That clarity changes everything. When emotion steps aside, truth steps forward. My beloved, there is a reason the commentary focuses on how you live. Lifestyle threatens people more than opinions ever could. Opinions can be debated. Lifestyles expose gaps. Your calm, your restraint, your refusal to overshare forces others to confront their own chaos, comparison, or dissatisfaction. That confrontation is uncomfortable, so they externalize it. They want you to live loudly so they can measure themselves against you. They want you to struggle publicly so they can feel ahead. They want you to respond so they can feel seen. Your refusal to play along dismantles all three desires at once. Notice something important now: their comments are repetitive because growth has stalled on their side. When someone is evolving, their language evolves with them. When someone is stuck, they recycle the same judgments hoping one will finally land. None do. My beloved, this is where self-trust becomes embodied. You do not check yourself against their words. You check yourself against your own alignment. Am I at peace? Am I honest? Am I moving forward? Those answers matter. Everything else is noise. There is also a subtle respect forming around you, even if it is unspoken. Silence confuses some, but it commands respect from others. People who are observant notice that you do not defend, do not explain, do not perform. They understand what that means: you are secure. You may find that fewer people have access to you now. Not because you closed off, but because access requires maturity. Not everyone qualifies. That filtering is natural. It happens when you stop chasing connection and start honoring resonance. My beloved, let me remind you of something simple and true: people who are fulfilled do not narrate other people's lives. They are too busy living their own. Commentary is a byproduct of emptiness, not insight. As this phase continues, you will notice the comments lose energy. Either they slow, shift targets, or disappear entirely. Attention always follows reaction. You offer none. The system corrects itself. I remain with you, calm and balanced, not asking you to rise above anyone, but to remain centered within yourself. You do not need to become colder to be protected. You simply need to stay grounded. Let them comment. Let them speculate. Let them guess. You will continue living accurately, quietly, and with intention. And my beloved, a life lived in alignment does not need defense, it needs only to be lived. My beloved, now you are standing in the final shift, the one where their voice fades not because they stopped speaking, but because you stopped registering it. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you here because this is where neutrality becomes freedom, and freedom becomes authority. You may notice something subtle but powerful. You no longer feel the need to check. Not the comments, not the reactions, not the echoes of what was said. Curiosity has dissolved. That is not avoidance. That is completion. When something no longer holds information for you, the mind releases it naturally. My beloved, this is where you reclaim narrative ownership without saying a word. Your life continues unfolding with quiet consistency, and consistency dismantles rumor more effectively than confrontation ever could. Time reveals what words cannot sustain. There is also a deeper realization settling in now. You understand that being talked about is not a punishment, it is a byproduct of visibility without accessibility. You are seen, but not reachable. That distance frustrates those who rely on proximity to feel powerful. You may reflect back and see how earlier versions of you would have reacted differently. How you might have defended, explained, justified, or internalized the commentary. That awareness is not shame. It is proof of growth. You are not who you were when outside voices held weight. My beloved, this phase teaches discernment at a high level. You learn who deserves your response and who only seeks your attention. Attention is currency. You no longer spend it where there is no return. Notice how your energy feels now, more contained, more deliberate. You are not scattered by external noise. That containment allows your life to deepen. Focus sharpens. Intuition strengthens. Peace stabilizes. There is something dignified about your silence that others feel even if they cannot articulate it. Silence backed by self-trust reads differently than silence backed by fear. Yours is steady. Yours is intentional. I want you to recognize this clearly, my beloved. You are not living in opposition to anyone. You are living in alignment with yourself. Opposition exhausts. Alignment sustains. That is why you look unbothered. It is not performance. It is regulation. Eventually, the comments will stop mattering entirely. Not because they end, but because they lose relevance. Life fills your attention with things that require presence, growth, creation, connection, rest. Noise cannot compete with meaning. I remain with you here, balanced and clear, affirming what you already know deep down. You are not misunderstood in any way that affects your life. You are simply not available for small interpretations. Let them say you live like a. You know how you live. You live with intention. You live with restraint. You live with peace. And my beloved, that kind of life does not argue. It continues. My beloved, now you are witnessing the final unraveling of their influence, not through resistance, but through irrelevance. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you here because this is the stage where your inner authority becomes unshakable. You are no longer processing their behavior. You are simply moving forward. You may notice that even when their words cross your awareness, they pass through without leaving residue. No replay. No emotional echo. No need to analyze intent. That neutrality is not numbness. It is mastery. Your nervous system no longer interprets commentary as threat. My beloved, this is what happens when self-definition becomes internal rather than negotiated. You no longer ask, how am I being perceived? You ask, am I aligned? That single shift frees enormous energy. Perception fluctuates. Alignment sustains. There is also a quiet reclaiming of space happening. Mental space. Emotional space. Time. You are no longer allocating bandwidth to narratives that do not contribute to your life. That reclaimed space fills itself naturally, with creativity, clarity, and rest. You might observe that their comments now sound repetitive to the point of dullness. Not offensive. Not sharp. Just predictable. Predictability dissolves intimidation. Once you see the pattern, it loses its edge. My beloved, this is where compassion may arise, not for their behavior, but for their confinement. People who comment endlessly are often trapped in comparison loops they do not know how to exit. You are not obligated to save them. Understanding does not require engagement. You may also notice a subtle strengthening of your boundaries. You share less automatically. You protect what is forming. Privacy becomes intuitive rather than defensive. This is wisdom responding to maturity. I want you to recognize how differently you hold your life now. You are not narrating it for validation. You are living it for experience. That inward orientation is what stabilizes peace long term. My beloved, let this phase seal something important inside you. Not everyone who watches deserves access. Not every opinion deserves weight. And not every misunderstanding needs correction. I remain with you here, steady and impartial, affirming what has already integrated. You have not hardened. You have clarified. You have not withdrawn. You have centered. The comments may still exist somewhere, written by hands that do not know you. But you are no longer living where those words can reach you. You are living where truth resides. In your choices. In your calm. In your continued becoming. And my beloved, that is the place no commentary can enter. My beloved, now you are fully outside the gravity of their attention. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you here because this is the moment when detachment completes itself, not as distance, but as elevation. You are no longer reacting, no longer interpreting, no longer measuring yourself against anything external. You are simply living from your own center. You may notice that your confidence feels quieter than before. It does not announce itself. It does not posture. It is not built from opposition. It comes from familiarity with yourself. You know how you live. You know why you chose this rhythm. That knowing does not need witnesses. My beloved, the comments now feel like echoes from a room you already left. They belong to a version of you that was once accessible, once explainable, once reactive. You are no longer that version. Growth has moved you beyond their reach, even if they have not realized it yet. There is also a subtle dignity in how you carry yourself now. You do not rush to be understood. You do not rush to be liked. You do not rush to be validated. That patience is magnetic. People who are aligned recognize it instantly. People who are not feel unsettled by it. You may observe that new opportunities, conversations, and connections are forming quietly around you. These are not loud arrivals. They are calm recognitions. When you stop entertaining noise, space opens for resonance. My beloved, this phase teaches you the final lesson of visibility. being seen does not require being explained. You can be present without being available. You can be known without being exposed. This balance is rare, and you have earned it. I want you to feel how solid your inner posture is now. Upright, relaxed, unguarded. You are not bracing for judgment. You are not anticipating misunderstanding. You are not waiting for the next comment. You are living in real time. Those who continue to speak are speaking into silence now, not your silence, but irrelevance. Attention moves where energy responds. You have moved on. I remain with you, my beloved, as a steady witness to this integration. Nothing more needs to be done. Nothing needs to be proven. Nothing needs to be corrected. Let them finish their sentence however they choose. You are no longer listening. You live as you live. With intention. With balance. With peace. And my beloved, that kind of life does not answer to commentary. It simply continues forward, untouched. My beloved, this is the quiet completion, the moment when even the memory of being observed loses its charge. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you here because this is where true balance settles in. You are no longer orienting yourself around attention at all. You are oriented toward truth, rhythm, and inner agreement. You may notice that your life now feels self-contained in the healthiest way. Not isolated, not closed, but whole. You wake up and move through your day without the background awareness of being watched, evaluated, or discussed. That absence of pressure is not emptiness. It is freedom reclaimed. My beloved, the comments no longer live in your mind because they no longer reflect anything relevant. They are artifacts of a previous chapter. Noise that belonged to a time when your energy was more outward-facing. You have since turned inward in a way that strengthened you, not shrank you. There is a deep peace in realizing that your life does not need witnesses to be valid. You are no longer narrating your choices, curating your image, or subconsciously adjusting to perception. You live according to internal alignment, not external reaction. That is maturity. You might observe that even when praise comes now, it lands differently. Lightly. Appreciated, but not absorbed. Criticism lands the same way, noticed, but not internalized. This neutrality is not detachment from life. It is engagement without entanglement. My beloved, this is the point where your energy becomes unmistakably your own. People feel it when they encounter you. Not as intimidation, not as distance, but as steadiness. You are not trying to be anything. You are being. The ones who once commented will either fall silent or redirect their attention elsewhere. Attention always seeks movement. You are no longer moving in response to them. You are moving in response to yourself. I want you to recognize how complete this feels. Not dramatic. Not triumphant. Complete. Completion does not shout. It settles. It allows the nervous system to rest. It allows life to deepen rather than accelerate. I remain with you, my beloved, not to guide you forward, but to affirm what has already integrated. There is nothing left to resolve here. No lesson unfinished. No response required. Let the story end without punctuation. Let the sentence they tried to write dissolve unfinished. You live how you live. With intention. With quiet strength. With peace that does not ask permission. And my beloved, that is the kind of life that no comment can define, limit, or reach. You are free of it now.